Welcome to Quiet Storm's Corner and welcome to 2020. Happy New Year. I like to say 2020 vision in 2020. That's what we're aiming for. So with that being said, today's session will be talking about motivation. So I know I have a lot of people that come to me, especially in the beginning of the year, talking about how they have a lot of goals for themselves that they've not been able to achieve, and they want to work on their mental health and work on how to become more motivated in order to achieve those goals. So there's many different reasons why some people are not able to push past the first step in order to be motivated. A lot of times it's because of the discomfort of being a beginner. You know, being a beginner in the very beginning of something is not comfortable. And a lot of us, especially in American society, we have this thing about we have to be the best, or we have to at least be mediocre in order to begin. And the reality is, most of the time, if you just give yourself consistent practice, you can become proficient in whatever it is you want to do. It doesn't mean you can be the best or you can be professional in it, but you can at least be proficient in whatever it is you choose to do. So I know for myself, an example, I like to use personal examples. I am in the process of learning how to play the guitar. At some days, I don't want to practice. Some days, I don't want to go to my lesson because I'm in the beginning stages and it is uncomfortable. I used to play the violin. Some of the fingering that I do on the guitar is very similar to what it is in the violin, but it's like off one finger. So it's like I mess up different keys because I'm used to playing it on one stringed instrument one way, and then when I'm doing it on a different instrument, it's completely, it's one off. So it's like I'm all out of tune because I'm learning this new skill. But the reality is I'm not going to build this skill if I don't practice, if I don't practice with proficiency. So even with that, one of the things, and I'm using guitar as an example, but you can use this in many different areas. I make sure I have a teacher because I could definitely go on YouTube. I can definitely get apps, which again, these are other things you can consider when you're learning something new or you're trying to push through things. Figuring out if you need a coach, figuring out what kind of accountability tools you might need, what kind of support systems you need in order to achieve these goals is important. So like I said, for me, I have a teacher. I have an app, so I have people holding me accountable to my learning. I have different materials holding me accountable for my learning. I have set routines and times for my practice because I know that the reality is I'm aiming for consistency over perfection, because the more consistent I am with whatever I'm doing, the better I will get at it. When it comes to these videos, I just started doing these videos. Actually, I'm telling a fib. I started doing a couple videos maybe almost 5 years ago. And I had a friend tell me that I was uncomfortable on the camera, which was very true. I am uncomfortable on the camera, and it's prevented me from doing it. And then what I realized is, as I've been doing my own personal work and my own personal growth, there is no way I can become proficient if I'm not trying. So even with these videos, they make me nervous. I have a little bit of a fear factor in doing them. I fear how I sound on tape. I fear how I look on tape. I fear how I'm going to be perceived on tape. But at the end of the day, I know I have a message. I know I want to serve people. And I can serve more with doing videos like this than I can just in my private practice. I'm currently actually at capacity. So it's just kind of like, how else can I help people who can't necessarily have the financial resources to see me, who can't necessarily have the time to see me, who aren't in the location to see me. And this is one of my ways of being able to serve. So sometimes you have to think about what is your purpose in order to move past some of those fears and just kind of do what it is you need to do. So moving past the discomfort and just, again, realizing it's not about perfection. It's about consistency. And hopefully with consistency, you'll gain comfort and you will be looking more, you'll look more professional as your time and skills build. So with that saying, again, you have to put forth the first step and just put yourself out there. The reality is you can't have courage without fear, right? In order to have courage, there has to be something you're afraid of that you're moving past. So making sure you are just kind of reminding yourself that in order to move forward, you have to have some fear in order to be courageous, and you have to move past it. There's a great book, and I have my notes here. So again, that's one of my tools to make me feel better, is I have notes to kind of help me through my process. So again, figure out what the tools you need, what things you need to in order to hold yourself accountable and make yourself feel comfortable. Other people will say, oh, that doesn't look good, that da 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 da. But you got to do what's best for you, not what everybody else is telling you to do. So there's a great book called The Outliers. It's by Malcolm Gladwell. And one of the things that he talks about in the book is he talks about how people go from amateur athlete to pro athlete, or amateur in this and professional in that. And one of the things that in the Outlier, what the Outlier talks about is that you have to have 10,000 hours of consistent work in whatever field or whatever topic that is in order for you to gain proficiency and be a professional in it, or gain some form of mastery. So for me, I know probably 5 years ago, I was more nervous about my content because I was a little bit fresher in some ways, but not really. I mean, I'll just say I was a little bit fresher than maybe I am now. So, making sure as you go along, gaining that education, gaining that skill, that will help you, and making sure you feel like you are putting in the 10,000 hours. I know at this point, I've put in my 10,000 hours in being a mental health provider. I've put in my 10,000 hours in being a couples counselor. I've put in, or doing work or education in that area in relationships. I've put in the hours when it comes to sexual health and sexuality. I know I'm more proficient than the average person, as I'm pretty much, again, I put in the time to become a master in what I do. Now, being a master doesn't mean that I'm not humble. I don't have humility. It doesn't mean I don't have areas of growth. I definitely still make sure I do my continuing education. I still learn. I try to keep up to date with the latest research. I try to always have a beginner's mind in the field that I'm in. But when it comes to what I know what I know. And I feel comfortable with that. And that makes me more proficient in being able to provide content for other people and doing what I need to do in order to live out the purpose that I need to live. So again, if some of your hangups may be that you just need to get more education. So go and get the more education that you need. Sometimes you need more experience. Go get the experiences you need, but you have to put you have to take the first step. I know when it comes to exercise, I at times go through whims where I'm like, yes, I'm ready to exercise. And other times I'm like, I don't know about that. Some people everybody has different things that they're go to and what they're not. So some of the things that I do for that area, which again can be something that you use in other areas, is I have accountability partners. I have friends that I go to the gym with. I have a personal trainer that I go to that holds me accountable at times. I have different people that have my back and check on me to make sure I'm taking care of my wellness. So having collective groups, having apps, having reminders, having different routines. One of the key things for really mastery and really getting your foot forward is creating routines around whatever it is you want to do. So I make sure I have a certain time or a certain kind of like, I make sure I exercise after I watch this show. Or if I'm going to play, let's say I love my game Candy Crush, guilty pleasure. If I want to play Candy Crush, I need to make sure whatever time I'm putting into Candy Crush, I'm putting the same time into exercising. So that's kind of like a way that I hold myself accountable. Also dressing the part. So when I say dress the part, so like with exercise, sometimes you have to go out and get yourself some nice outfits so that you can feel cute or feel, I'm just going to say cute because I like to be not gender neutral, but I try to be inclusive. But if I try to make sure I look the part of what I'm doing. So you may want to get new clothes when it comes to dressing to whatever it is you're trying to do. I know when it comes to being a professional, I try to make sure I'm wearing professional clothes whenever I'm in a slump where I'm not working or doing something else. So making sure you have whatever clothes it is you wear and just kind of put yourself in the position even if you practice being in that position that you want to be in. So if you want to speak in front of people, you know, one of the things that I like about Michelle Obama's book, The Becoming, is she talks about how she practices all of her speeches several times in front of the mirror, and so does Obama, before they ever go on stage. And that's because they are practicing. So maybe getting the right outfit and being in front of the mirror is something that you might need to do. Sometimes, again, going to the gym, making sure you have the right clothing for that, but dressing the part, whatever it is you need to do, try to do whatever you need to incorporate more confidence in your routine. Another thing, sometimes we do have fear based on past experiences. Sometimes in order to help you with that, you may need to look and invest into coaching. Therapy is, of course, I'm a therapist, so I'm going to plug therapy, but therapy can help you move many blocks, depending on what that is, and help you overcome a lot of fears that are keeping you from moving forward. Therapy is not a quick fix. It is something that takes time. It's something that you have to be consistent with. It is something that can be a financial investment for some, a large financial investment for some. So again, you just have to figure out what are the tools. Sometimes it's self-help books. Sometimes it's watching YouTube videos. Sometimes it's watching videos like, you know, for an example, this video. But making sure you're investing in yourself so that you can become more motivated in order to do what it is you need to do. So those are my main tips. Again, making sure you're being consistent. Don't worry about perfection. Just get it out there. Books like The Outliers are a great way to kind of get yourself motivated. Having good community around you, having accountability tools and different reminders that you need, dressing the part, therapy, YouTube, education. Those are all things to help you get motivated in the new year. So I hope this was helpful for you. And please, if you can, like this. If you thought it was good, feel free to make a comment. Let me know what you think. And feel free to let me know what other topics you'd like to talk about for the new year. Hope you're doing well. Bye.